Basically, I've been back in court since May of 2008 when I was charged again with defamatory libel and slander. I was at Confederation Building here in St. John's, and once more Constable Roy Normore came by to recharge me with the same charge but under a different number of the criminal code. In 2006, 301 of the criminal code was declared to be unconstitutional. Excuse me, that was 2008. And I decided when I was in Ottawa then to come back to Newfoundland and do my protest at Confederation Building because I would have to be charged under a proper law where I would be at least innocent and they would have to prove that I was actually intentionally lying about what I was saying and slandering someone. So now they've charged me with slander and defamation, but under Section 300 of the Criminal Code. When I was in Ottawa in 2006, the federal conservative government, at that time was Vic Tays, had Rob Moore, an MP from New Brunswick, and Andrew House, a lawyer who'd worked in the Federal Justice Department, do an 8-month review of my case, 300 pages plus, that Mr. Norm Doyle, my MP, had hand delivered to them. In December of 2006, Mr. Andrew House called me at home in Newfoundland and said that the review was complete after 8 months and the report was on the appropriate desk within the Federal Justice Department and they would contact me. So I said, thank you, Mr. House, that's my Christmas gift. But unfortunately, during Christmas, Mr. Vic Tays was taken out of the Federal Justice Minister's portfolio and it was given to Mr. Rob Nicholson, excuse me. So I went to see Mr. Doyle while he was home during the Christmas break, my MP, and Norm said, Byron, I have a meeting with Rob Nicholson after Christmas. I'll certainly bring it up and find out what's happened to your file. Mr. Doyle, I got to say, a politician that kept getting back to me and doing his job, called me back at the end of January in 2007, said, Mr. Nicholson has assured me that your case is still active and your file is still within the department. Well, it's 2009 now. I still don't have that report. So in 2008, I decided that the best thing for me to do would be to go back to Ottawa, make my presence known again at Parliament with permits and my signs. So in March, I went back to Ottawa again to find out what's going on. I had a sign asking Mr. Harper and the Justice Department, where is the report? You did an 8-month review of my case. I'd like to know what happened. I still don't have the report to this day, and I still don't know what happened to the report or what they found out. So in May of 2008, the law I was charged with here, previously 301, was found to be unconstitutional. So I said to a man that I was protesting with, Father Tony Van E., a right-to-life priest, that the best thing for me to do is to go back to Newfoundland to Confederation Building, start my protest again, and then they would have to charge me with a proper law. So he said, yeah, you may be right. So that's what I did. In May, I came back to Newfoundland in May of 2008 and went to Confederation Building with my signs and my handouts. I was there for 5 days. Mr. Danny Williams, and before Danny got into politics, Williams, Robotham, Mackay, and Marshall were my legal firm. They represented me. They were my lawyers. When Danny got into politics, Mr. Robotham returned my file, said they could no longer represent me, and wished me good luck finding another lawyer. Well, I haven't had another lawyer since. But Danny picked his phone up while I was at Confederation Building. 10 minutes later, Constable Roy Normore, again the same constabulary member, came by and charged me again with defamatory libel and slander on behalf of the Crown and T.L. Hickman, but under case number 300 under the Criminal Code. With that section of the Criminal Code, the onus is on the Crown to prove that I am intentionally lying and defaming someone and knowingly doing that. Well, I'm neither lying or defaming anybody, I'm telling the truth. A DNA test would prove that. Many times in court, I asked Judge David Orr if they would ask Mr. Hickman to take a DNA test. I would pay for the test. It would be no expense to anyone, and it would just take a few minutes of their time to reestablish credibility for Mr. Hickman and put credibility back into the justice system. Judge Orr ignored my request. Instead of asking for a DNA test from the person that's accused here, Judge Orr ordered me to take a psychiatric evaluation and an assessment from a psychiatrist that he would choose, and I would have to go see them or be arrested and be forced to do it. So I said, well, I guess I'll have to go. So they set up an assessment with Dr. David Craig at the All Science Center. On April the 3rd, I was to appear there. This order made me very nervous. As far as I'm concerned, that I'm about as sensible and as non-mentally defective as you can be. Of course, if you're crazy, you would think that way, but that's how I feel. But I decided then that this scared me. So this was the Friday the 13th of March of 2009. Friday the 13th didn't sound good, but ordering a psychiatric assessment sounded worse. So I instantly talked with my wife and some friends after court, and everyone suggested that your best bet is to get an independent psychiatric review on your own. So I contacted some folks that I know in Toronto who immediately set up a meeting for me with Dr. Marty McKay, a clinical psychologist. And I went to Toronto on March the 18th and returned on the 19th. Wednesday was the 18th. I met with Dr. McKay, and from 2:30 till 5:30, 3 hours, she spoke with me, inquired how I was, what my situation was, and basically gave me a preliminary evaluation. She requested and hoped that we could have further consultation, and emailed me so that people would understand where I was and what had happened when I was there. So I came back on the 19th. I wrote a letter to my legal aid lawyer, Michelle Cody, and Anne delivered it to her office, asked her if she would contact the Crown Prosecutor's office and get in touch with Judge Orr so I could request that this independent review, because of the high profile of T.L. Hickman here in this province, I don't feel I can get a fair shake here. So I wanted it independently done in another province with someone that I didn't know or they didn't know, and I never met Dr. McKay before. And I took this request to Michelle Cody's office, who in turn spoke with Elaine Reed at the prosecutor's office. They arranged for me to reappear in front of Judge David Orr on March the 25th.